We're going to pretend that I've never met John King and that we're writing for the first time. And I just want just so we can step you through. And I think I remember. Do you remember the first time we wrote?
I think I do. Yeah, I think it was at I think it was at Curb. It was at Curb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, Seagale. It was at Seagale.
Yes.
Yep. First time we wrote.
Okay, so John's sitting here. I'm going to come into the room.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't already be here. Artists are always late. So you would have been here for probably an hour already.
And I'm going to come in. Hey, John King.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Heard great things. Love all your Hootie songs.
False. So I walk in and I'm like, we introduce ourselves and I'm like, so play me something that you do. I want to hear a little bit because at that point he didn't have a record out.
Right.
So why don't you just play us something, a little bit of something so I can get an idea of what you're about.
I think I might have even played this song.
Okay.
Because this is like one of the first songs I wrote when I moved to Nashville. And it ended up being on my first EP. But it was kind of like about my story, my journey from Georgia to here, in the music business. But it's called Something in the Water. Record man said, son, let me hear what you got. Word on the street is that you're pretty hot. Well, you Georgia boys been making noise, I swear. Must be something in the water down there. Yeah. I picked up my guitar and I started to strum this little number about where I come from. Way down a dirt road in a July air. You can bet there's something in the water down there. And she's 5 foot something, legs are long and thin, sitting on that riverbank with her toes in the sand. Them southern girls, I tell you, nothing compares. Yeah, there's something in the water down there. Yeah, yeah. Hey. Alright. Well, there's a rock about 30 feet high. You jump off the top, feel like you can fly. Well, that river's cold, man, but you won't care. 'Cause there's something in the water down there. And she's 5 foot something, legs are long and tan. She's sitting on that riverbank with her toes in the sand. And them southern girls, I tell you, nothing compares. Yeah, there's something in the water down there. Well, if you wanna slow down, if you wanna go down, if you wanna jump in, let me get on it, man. Hey, playlist, amen.
You tuned down half the step.
Yeah, she's 5 foot something, legs are long and tan. She's sitting on that riverbank with her toes in the sand. And them southern girls, I tell you, nothing compares. Yeah, there's something in the water down there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, John King.
Thank you.
All right.
I think that was the first song I played you.
So if that doesn't get you excited as a songwriter to hear that, like, man. So then it becomes easy to okay, step up your game. A lot of times when I write with an artist, artists are all about saying this cool stuff and they're extroverts. Songwriters, we're kind of introverts a lot of times. And then so he'll say something and then oh, that's a cool song, and that kind of that's how we a lot of times come up with song ideas, because artists are like, they just say the greatest stuff that comes out of their mouth.
Just oozing.
Yeah. They say a whole bunch of stuff, and we pick out the cool gems, and yeah.
We just run our mouths, and y'all do the work, yeah. No, it is true, though. I mean, I agree with you. Like that first 5-10 minutes of a co-write, when you're getting to know each other, that's when 90% of your good hooks can fall right out, unless you have, even if you have something, you might get something better just through talking and getting to know the person. And that goes both ways too. I mean, as an artist, going in, meeting co-writers, meeting songwriters, and believe it or not, we stalk songwriters too. I before I wrote with Clay, I Googled him, saw all his hits, and I was a little intimidated because I'm like, man, this guy.
That's why you got a record deal, because I've written with the artists, then they walk in like, who are you? Like,
oh yeah. If you're an artist out there, do your homework. If you're meeting with a A&R person, if you're meeting with a songwriter, always do your homework, because if you can go in there, you don't want to be stalker. You can go in there and be like, I hear you have a dog named Milo or something. Don't do that. That'll be weird. But if they've written songs you like, if you respect them and have followed their career, it's gonna make the write or whatever meeting is go a lot smoother.
Talk a little bit about how writing with an artist helps you have a perspective, because they're out performing for big crowds of people that we don't have necessarily as writers.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, because I would imagine, I'm not a recording artist, but I would imagine that, and I know I've heard artists like Blake Shelton talk about this, that the stuff that works on radio or could be all this mid-tempo stuff, and then you get in concert and you just want these loud party songs. So for an artist, it's kind of this difficult balance of...
For sure.
And as songwriters, we start out writing ballads because we get our hearts broken. We want to, pour it out on paper.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for... maybe one song in a 3-hour show. You could do a heartbreak ballad.
Yeah.
So when you write with an artist, it really shows you that you've got to write a whole different kind of song. You've got to write a song that keeps the audience attention, that keeps the energy up, and so. But that can be different than the songs that end up on the record too. I mean, I imagine you kind of try to do a balance of both, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's a lot of songs we play out live still today that we haven't cut yet. Just because they're live songs, and maybe one day they'll end up on a record. That's the goal. But if they don't, that's fine too, because they serve their purpose. So I think, I think if you can come in with a mindset, writing with an artist, from our perspective, there's all these different, like you said, slots you're looking to fill, whether it's a ballad, and usually it's tough to get that ballad because there's so many ballads, unless you have that hook that's just killer, or that melody that's just undeniable, that then maybe maybe the ballad. But if you have an up tempo that's got a melody that feels like something you could have stuck in your head for days after you hear it on the radio, or if you have that funny song. I have this song called My Baby Loves Hooker Shoes, My Baby Loves Hooker Shoes. I can't help it, I do too. My baby loves hooker shoes. And we do that live, and people just go nuts. Yes. They go nuts. Now, would it ever be on radio? Probably not, but who cares, if it's getting people up and dancing, that's half the battle. And even when we go into radio stations, we can use that song to break the ice and then open their ears up for the radio.
Why don't you? This would be a good time for you to play your. Do you do your single, the Randy Houser single?
Yeah, I can do. I can take a swing at it for you.
For those of you that don't know, John had the fortune of writing a song for another artist, Randy Houser, that's in the top 10. A song called "We Went." So not only is he a great artist, but he's starting to have hits as a songwriter too. So
thank you, man. Yeah, it's a big honor. As an artist, I feel like now, especially more than ever, and you know this too, it's almost like songwriting is a form of A&R. And the more you can get your songs out there, if you have other artists cutting your songs, it just kind of gives validity to you as an artist too. So it's cool. This was a song, when I wrote it, a guy named Matt Rogers and a guy named Justin Wilson that I wrote it with. They're both younger guys, and they're guys that I wrote with when I first moved to town, just like you were saying, And
Matt's sang a lot of demos for people at Songtown, so we know him well.
They're great guys. They're hardworking, and they're kind of getting their start. But we wrote the song in like 30 minutes, and it just kind of poured out. And most of them don't ever happen like that. But honestly, when I wrote this song, I was like, I think it's okay. You know, we had a little.
And now you're wishing you had cut it instead of giving it to Randy.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, people ask me that. They're like, do you wish you would have cut it? You know, now that Randy Houser's got a big hit with it. But honestly, no, because I knew as soon as I heard the demo that it was for Randy Houser. Right. It sounded like a Randy Houser song. The phrasing, the content, everything. And, I mean, it turned out well because he sings the heck out of it. But I'll give it a shot. Yeah, black Pontiac with a pocket of cash, foot on the gas, ready and throwing up a little dust like a pickup truck. Does in the mud, but ain't nobody slowing us down right now. She said I need a little something with some get up and go, and nobody knows how to get me going quite like you do. You're doing the things that you do. Wanna give this sleepy podunk town something to talk about. So we went tail lights fading from some blue lights chasing, cut 'em back through the corner, County Road 44. So up a fence, jump in the ditch, felt so good. We didn't want to dance, so we went looking for dimes to kill some time. The heat cool off, we can do some dancing, didn't take long. A couple of songs, you know it's last call when the law comes walking in. So we went tail lights fading from some blue lights chasing, cut 'em back through the corner, County Road 44. So up a fence, jump in the ditch, felt so good. We didn't want to end, so we went rocking to the radio, fogging up the windows, headlights off in a spot nobody else knows. Hey. We went tail lights fading from some blue lights chasing, cut 'em back through the corner, County Road 44. It's open fence, jump in the day, yeah, we felt so good, we didn't want to, yeah. Yeah, black Pontiac with a pocket of cash, foot on the gas, ready and throwing up a little dust like a pickup truck. Does in the mud, but ain't nobody slowing us down right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John King in the house.
We do have a question. Someone's asked, she read that you and your co-writers weren't sure what to title that song. Were there other titles you considered?
We never had a title for that song.
You went around and around.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We just never had a title for that song. We wrote the whole song and then asked, like, what are we going to call it? And we're like, I don't know, what's the last word, like, out of the chorus? It's just like, we went. It's like, is that even a title? We went. So it's one of the few songs I've ever written that doesn't have, like, you know, a lot of country songs are like, you know, blah, 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 and here's the title. Right. You know, here's a pause and this big title that blows your mind. That one was weird. It's what makes it cool is it's almost circular. The story never stops. So we never had a title. We didn't have it. We just kind of, that whole groove just kind of led the charge on that song.
And I think you're right. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. But there's enough stuff in there to keep your attention.
Right.
So, and that's probably why an artist was interested in it, because it didn't go, okay, here's your hook.
Yeah. Because we're so used to that, and everybody's used to that, and you get to thinking that that's the way a hit song has to sound.
Right.
But really, from an artist's point of view, you know, what we're listening for is sometimes there's something different. Something that jumps out and grabs you.
I think a lot of songwriters, and I know I did this when I first started out, I thought I had to write stuff that sounded like the radio. I had to write, and when you're an artist, you're going, okay, well, yeah, the radio today, that's today. Yeah. But when my record comes out in a year, I don't want to sound anything like what's going on here. You want to be in the format, you want to fit within the format, but you want to have something cool and different. Yeah. And so a lot of times I would go round and round with one of my old publishers, because he would go, well, Rascal Flat is saying they want to cut this. And I'm going, but if you give them that in their head, they've already played that 1,000 times. It's not going to interest them. So sometimes you have to just think out of the box to get the artist cut.
And like you guys were saying earlier, one of my favorite things to do, and I keep titles all on my phone, and because I've been writing since I was a kid, and it was a weird thing coming to Nashville and co-writing because I'd written by myself since I was 13 or 14 years old. So as an artist writer, which is different because there's some people who are just artists, they don't really write. But for me, I'd always loved songwriting. But it's weird, when you get in the room and you're co-writing, it's a whole different ball game. It's give and take. And I learned, later on, that it's a huge advantage because 2 brains is better than 1. And you always have that song, especially if you have a hook that you're just like, oh, I don't want to mess this up. It's good to say that for somebody has experience as a songwriter that has the instinct to be like, I think we should push it this way or that way. So all that to say, if you're an artist, songwriter, you have to really kind of dig into what you love, Like I always think back to the stuff I grew up listening to. And obviously, you can't, if you put a Skynyrd song on the radio now, it's already been done. Right. But you have to take those pieces of what you love and learn how to mold it and make it your own. So a lot of times, like when we're writing, if we have a couple of hook ideas and we want some feel, it's kind of fun to reference back. Like we were talking about that old J.J. Cale, like, baby mama, where you been so long? It's just like a blues shuffle. Yeah. But if you take a song like that and you have a different hook and a different tempo and a different production idea, it's a whole new thing. You can rebuild it.
You just want to take a flavor from that.
A flavor.
You don't want to sound like that. No. You just kind of want to take the vibe of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I love doing that. I love taking a song and having a vibe, whether it's even just a drum beat or a lick that's, not that exact lick, but starts with something that's you want to start with in your song. That's a cool way to do it.
Hey, I want to talk about our friends at Sweetwater who sponsor this podcast. Probably close to 2 decades, I have been getting my audio and video equipment from Sweetwater. And, I just can't say enough about them. They're great guys.
There's a link in the show notes to some books Clay and I've written. Clay's got a great book on melody writing that's now out on Audible. See you next time.